Well, hello there. I'm absolutely livid with this government. I don't know about you guys, but Ed Miliband is an absolute nutcase. He really is driving this country to destruction. Now, I want you to imagine a nice, pleasant garden. At the bottom of the garden, you have a lovely, luscious vegetable patch that you're growing potatoes and carrots and parsnips and beetroot and all those kind of things. Now, what you do is you go and harvest all that vegetables and you give it to your neighbour. Your neighbour will trim it, take off the dead leaves or whatever, and then sell it back to you at a cost. Now, your other neighbour, he's busy burrowing into his garden and he's actually burrowing under your fence and he's coming up underneath all your crops and he's taking the carrots and he's taking the parsnips and he's taking the beetroot. You go out to your garden to harvest all your fruits and vegetables, all gone. Where's it gone? Your neighbour says, don't worry, I've got plenty to sell you. Here, have some of this. This is what's happening at the moment. What Ed Miliband is doing is the small amount of oil that we're actually pulling out the ground in the North Sea is actually going overseas to be processed. Yeah, you got it. Going overseas to be processed, and of course, obviously, the petrol and the oils are coming back to us. But at a cost, we're actually paying for our own North Sea gas and oil to be treated overseas. Crazy, isn't it? And also, the Norwegians are drilling into the North Sea, and they are taking our oil. Now, I used to work with a chap who used to work on oil rigs, and he knows these things. Anyway, he told me one day that oil rigs don't just drill straight down. None of them do. They drill down and along. They can go up to 6 miles along. So if you have an oil rig slap bang on the border between Norwegian North Sea oil and English North Sea oil, right, they can get our oil and nobody does anything about it because they don't know what the Norwegians are doing. And that's what's happening at the moment, is Norway is taking our oil because they're drilling sideways into our oil fields and catching our oil. Some of our oil, the Brent oil fields, are some of the richest high quality oils out on the market at the moment, and it's probably too good to burn, so it's used as lubricants and stuff like that. Anyway, this is what the government's doing. It is destroying our infrastructure and making us all poor. I just don't understand this government whatsoever. Now, many years ago, I was a climate alarmist. I actually believed in this net zero lark. And it was only in the last 10 years or so that I've been listening to the likes of Ian Plimer, this Judith Curry, and all these other American and Canadian scientists who actually look at the climate. We've even got one of our own homegrown climate deniers, as it were. The climate scientists is actually coming out and telling the truth. They're not being paid, although some of them claim to be. People claim that they're being paid by big oil companies, but I don't believe that. I don't think they are. But they're actually telling us the truth. Now, as you can imagine, when I found out the harm that solar panels do to the environment, I was absolutely gobsmacked. I really was gobsmacked. So, but at the time, I was that climate alarmist who wanted solar panels on his roof because it was going to be green. I thought I was doing the right thing for the environment. Okay, I didn't have to pay for it. It was a free thing anyway. So my solar panels haven't cost me a penny, and I do get the energy that they produce, and I do make a good use of that actually, because all the time that my smart meter says it's zero, on goes the washing machine, on goes the dishwasher, or put the kettle on. Well, otherwise we just wait till the cheap rate electricity at 2 o'clock, and then we put the dishwasher on, and then we put the washing machine on. So we're using cheap rate electricity. But yeah, these green energy things are not green at all. Now, going back a couple of years ago, I watched a YouTube video with Lord Monckton. He's not an environmentalist, he is an accountant, and he went and did the maths. The amount of money that they spend on wind farms is absolutely phenomenal. But he was looking at the aspect of CO2 reduction, and he took into account all the earth movers, all the mining equipment, all the smelting and stuff like this, because windmills are made from steel and all sorts of other non-renewable things like epoxy resin and some of the woods that they put inside these turbine blades. Now, he took all that into account, and he also took into account the decommissioning costs, talking about CO2 costs now, took into account all the costs of CO2 in its construction, running, there is some CO2 when it runs as well, and when it's decommissioned. And he said the amount of energy that it saves as being a renewable energy compared to fossil energy, that the CO2 advantage is virtually nothing. So we're spending all this money rather than having an infrastructure that we can actually rely on, because we can't rely on wind or solar, because at the moment there's no sun for solar, and quite possibly if the wind blows too hard or if the wind doesn't blow enough, those wind turbines ain't going to turn. The turbines have to be at a sweet spot. Now, when the turbine stops, to get it up to speed to start generating electricity, you have to use a diesel generator to start turning the blades. This puts power back in so that it gets up to speed. There's not enough wind speed to overcome the friction. So once it gets up to speed, the wind will actually start to generate electricity. So wind turbines are not the green thing that you thought it was. It's absolutely almost imperceptibly slightly better than not having it there at all. So I just don't understand. And of course, when we shut down all our oil or coal or gas-fired power stations, there's no spinning reserve. You can't just have a power station that's dead and expect it to flash up and start generating electricity within seconds. No, you have to have it up and running. Well, okay, it might not be on the board, it might not be producing electricity, but it has to be up and running, so when you do need it, you can switch it on and it starts to generate electricity. Because these gas turbines that we have, they're a great big spinning lump, and it does take a lot of effort to get them up to speed to start generating electricity. So we cannot afford to turn off our ageing gas turbines at the moment. I'm not sure, but Drax is a wood burning. That's actually producing vast amounts of CO2 and destroying vast amounts of forests. It's just a waste. This net zero stuff is a complete and utter scam. Anyway, rambled on 8 minutes. I won't put the adverts on. Anyway, so I'll catch you later. Have a great Sunday. I'm going to go and have a beer tonight because I'm off my antibiotics, and we'll see how I get on. And a cup of tea first, though, because it's bloody freezing out here. Anyway, catch you later. See you on the next one. Bye then.